Bilang mga babae, lagi tayong may choice.
Ang pagpili na maging mas responsable.
Mas marunong.
At mas maasahan.
Sa ato ng kakayahon ang pagpili ng sakto.
At palaganapin ito sa ating kapwa babae.
Huwag natin sayangin ang biyayang ito.
Sama-sama naton ipahiling ini sa gabos.
Ang kabutihan na kaya nating idulot.
Pagdating sa reproductive health, be proud to say,
I do it right.
I do it right.
I do it right.
We do it right with trust. Para sa proteksyon may pagmamalaki at mapagkakatiwalaan.
Welcome everybody to Season 2 and how we look forward to a brand new season of Restart, a live learning powered by Project Ripple. Okay, so on one hand, it may seem blissful to be with your partner 24/7, but that may not be the case for some people who may need their own space independent from their partners. Meanwhile, long-distance relationships remain just as difficult to maintain because now you've effectively taken the aspect of being able to see each other at least once every few months. Generally, the situation of being in quarantine has seemed to jumpstart and fast-forwarded a lot of relationship decisions like having a baby, getting married, proposing. In such a stressful time, it's easy to turn on people because of the loss of control. Author and relationship therapist Esther Perel says that the key to improving relationships is acknowledging and working on that stress together. Here's a clip.
There is that additional stress will create the fragmentation. It exists in couples and it exists in society. Then instead of fighting about it and competing about it and getting into the who has it worse here, just basically admit it together. It's an acknowledgement of what we are both experiencing and go from the I and you to the we.
There's certainly a lot of issues that face couples during this time, so we're glad to be doing this episode in order to help answer some of the questions about relationships in quarantine. So, to jumpstart everything, let's introduce our guests for today. We have, first off, licensed psychologist and sex and relationship therapist, Dr. Rica Cruz, joining us. Welcoming back to the show, we have the modern sage and life mentor, Master Del Pe. We also have Miss International 2013, as well as an actress and host, Bea Rose Santiago, along with her partner, entrepreneur and host, Mr. Mark Nash. Last but not the least, we have visual storyteller and entrepreneur, Janina Manipol, with her partner, filmmaker for Maldavar Films, Sebastian Gilbert. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi guys. Hi everyone.
Hello everyone.
How's everybody? So, okay, some of you guys are in LDR, some of you guys are living in together, and some of you guys are there any single people in the room? No, everybody is taken for granted. Okay, so we're gonna jump in. The first segment of this show is called Hot Takes. So in Hot Takes, we ask one question, and the question should be answerable by yes or no. So you guys have to, give us just one answer, no, maybe. And the question is, romantic relationships have deteriorated during quarantine. True or false? Or yes or no? No. Okay. Yes, for Master Del Pe, we have one yes. And Doc Rica, what's your answer? Is it a yes or no? Have relationships deteriorated during quarantine?
No.
I have a yes.
Yes, also. Okay. So si Master Del Pe
It's
lang
a
yung
yes.
No,
I
it
agree
should be
with
no.
Master Delpe.
Yes.
It's
Okay.
a yes.
So
I'm no.
2 yeses. Okay.
Kamali.
All right. So at this point, we'd like to encourage our live viewers to key in the answers as well to this live poll and answer the question: have romantic relationships deteriorated during quarantine? Okay, at this point, we'd like to encourage also our viewers to send in their questions because we will be answering specially picked out questions at the end of the show. We'd like to thank our sponsors, of course, DKT Trust and, of course, the World Institute for Incurable Diseases. Thank you very much for sponsoring the show. All right, so we go straight to the segment called The Slant. And in The Slant, we want to establish how relationships survive right now. So people still aren't allowed to go out during, because of the ECQ. And, right now, people are noticing difficulties in maintaining romantic relationships, whether, it's your own relationships or relationships of your clients. So my question is, guys, how's the state of your relationship? Is it, the couple said that it's doing well, but our experts say it's not doing well. So maybe let's start off with Master Delpe. Relationships in general, are they deteriorating or not? You said yes. Why, Master Delpe?
I think I would say no, but anyway, I can say yes also because I'm a healer, and so I mentor many people, and I see two sides. The people who have had financial losses and bankruptcy and death in the family, their priorities shifted to survival mode. So the relationship becomes a codependency with their boyfriend or girlfriend. So it became more difficult. But people who are mature with the right attitude, I think they have improved their relationship even during the pandemic time. So I have two observations. In my life, of course, it had improved tremendously.
Okay. Dr. Rica, you are, you teach sex therapy, you're a relationship expert, you're a regular in Boys Night Out. In general, you've been hearing more stories of couples, progressing or regressing right now. Dr. Rica, can you hear us? Okay, I think we're having some technical difficulties with Dr. Rica. For our couple, Janina and Seb, you guys are living together. How is life like living together, given that you guys also work together in the same company? Is it hard? Is it better?
Well, I mean, your question was a no or yes. I think it's hard to just define it as a black or white. It really depends on a lot of variables. On our side, we say no because it's going okay. We had the chance to live together already 2 years prior to this pandemic, and we've been working together also. So we already spent quite a lot of time together.
Like, this pandemic did not make me sick of seeing him. Like, it actually, I think, strengthened our relationship more.
Because I think one of the things happening also is that since we live together and work together, we already learned how to give space somehow. Mm-hmm. So we are like, okay, we understand that if we're stuck and glued on each other all the time, it might not work very well. So we already went through that before and discussed about that. And this pandemic just, it was kind of the same setup almost.
Like, nothing really changed because of it. Like,
yeah, except for the travel. But the time that we spent in Metro Manila, it was more or less already this kind of setup before. So, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to ask you guys more questions when we go to the couples segment. But I want to find out from our LDR couple. Mark is in Manila and Bea, of course, is all the way in Canada.
Yeah.
Has it strengthened your relationship, this whole quarantine and this whole pandemic?
Bea, you go first. Say what you want.
Yeah, I really think so because it's been our second year going on long distance. So we were already on a long distance relationship even before the quarantine. And then before that, Mark and I lived in together for 5 years. So we've experienced it all. I discovered new things about Mark during the quarantine, which is interesting. And because I became more patient because I have to wait for the hours, and we just really enjoyed each other's company now that we are far from each other.
I know Mark. Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
I guess it's a matter of perspective. I mean, for me, when you look at it that we're in a long distance relationship, yes, from an outside point of view, it looks like they might miss each other. But when you look at the future, when we see each other, we totally miss each other, right? So
Yeah.
it gets stronger.
But the thing is, Mark, before you're able to see Bea at least more regularly. Now with the whole pandemic, there's no end in sight yet. So does that not have any effect on the way does it cause any stress on you guys?
That's actually true because I was planning to fly into Toronto probably September. Oh no, we were supposed to be in Europe in September. But yeah, everything's delayed, and right now we don't know when we're going to be able to travel, right? So in my head, I'm already setting a year, 2 years in the future before I get to see her. But I mean, we've been in the DDR, the long distance relationship, for 2 years now. So I'm kind of used to it. You could say we're kind of used to it already. I mean, if Facebook or FaceTime wasn't there, it might be difficult. But I mean, every day I see her twice a day on the phone. So I guess it's
okay. Fine. So it's just more of yung touch lang yung wala. Okay, I'm gonna ask you more LDR questions in a while. But right now, we are gonna have Master Delpe and Doc Rica Cruz stay with us because we'd like to get a professional perspective on the issue at hand. So we have two people whose job is to help maintain and nurture healthy relationships even during quarantine. So for both, I want to ask Master Delpe and Doc Rica Cruz, can you enlighten us as to what your job entails as someone who provides relationship mentoring and healing, Master Delpe, and as someone who coaches relationships and counseling? So Doc Rica, that's you. What did the business look like for you before the pandemic hit, and like how is it now? Like, are you having more consultations? Go ahead, Doc Rica. Doc Rica, can you hear us? Doc Rica, are you there? I think we're having a signal issue with Doc Rica. Master.
Okay. All right. I will
take the first crack.
Yeah. Before the pandemic, my business was really good because I do service a lot of international couples, partners, and businesses. During the pandemic and right now, it has increased probably around 300 to 400%. Because when I coach and mentor people and heal them, it's not just about their relationship already. It's about their livelihood, it's their business, it's their crisis, it's their COVID-19 conditions, or I would say it's survivors from the family had grief from COVID-19 deaths. So I had to increase my business because I'm now dealing with relationships that's more complicated and sophisticated. Because it's not just about the love and sex and romance. It's also the codependency with families who are stressed because their livelihood has been lost, they're financially in trouble. So I think that's complicated right now is the issue of financial problems, with relationship problems, with the LDR issues, and even maybe health conditions. Like people are dying not from COVID-19, but from heart attack, suicide, and so on. So it's become more lucrative and is more profound because I can do it online without being contaminated because I've done it for 16 years. So I've been doing it online for a long time. So this is like a normal day-to-day affairs for me.
But Master, why do you think people are having different reactions to this quarantine? Some couples are thriving while some others are falling apart. Like, how come there's a very wide gap between the two?
I think I see many causes of that. For example, people can be together at home, but not quality relationship, not quality time, or people are not really engaged. This time, when people are scared of dying, or if the person is undertaking a lot of financial crisis, there's a tendency to need each other as a codependent relationship to solve each other's problem. And people who had been serious earlier had now gone into a turbo relationship because they want to accelerate everything now that who knows who can live and die next year. So they started to get serious, get married, get romance, more empowered. So a lot of people do take the pandemic lockdown and long distance seriously because they think they will have no more chance later on. So they accelerated the relationship. So they had been more serious to start with and not serious to be with. Now, people who are not serious, who are more sexual, they tend only to just go for sex immediately just to experience sexually, especially if they're pent up when they're not able to go out. They need to express their sexuality. So a lot of them who are more sexual in relationship tends to have more sex this time because they're pent up sexually. So this time when they see each other, they would go for, I would say, a avalanche of sexual experience.
So in short, it's the quality of the relationship that determines if you're gonna fall apart or stick together during quarantine. So if it's purely sex, the likelihood of you sticking together will be less.
Yeah, if people are more mature and they have a high quality relationship, it will survive in any time, pandemic, before pandemic, after pandemic. But if people are fragmented already and they have, say, difficulties in relationship, or they have financial relationship added to it, there seems to be more sophisticated to deal with. So they fragment and they won't continue. I think one of the things I've seen in my mentoring is if people can just focus towards the same direction, they have common shared goals together, at least tangent, maybe around 35% to be together in certain goals, they can stay together longer. But people who are just looking at each other and being happy and smiling and having a love affairs, that would last for a few months, but not totally for a long time because they don't have a shared goal.
Okay, that's a good point that you made, Master. So basically, it's like you need to plan your relationships together. Like you need to talk about the future, hindi lang yung what is current and what's happening now. Tama?
Yeah, they should have a common vision and mission together, not just lovers or not just romantic partners. Something that is more serious so that it can last longer and they will accelerate the ability to be together even during this pandemic. So when people have the right attitude, no matter how difficult times are or will be, they will stay together. And having the same direction of focus, having the same constancy and aim and effort towards the same direction, they will stay together. If not, be staying at each other, being happy, being romantic, having sexual experiences, but it won't last if they're just looking at each other without the same direction. So common goal, common vision, and also open-mindedness, authenticity, open dialogue, something that is more including the virtue of patience together. Because the more difficult our lives, the more patience we need.
Okay. Doc Rica, is there any truth? Oh my God, we lost Doc Rica?
Okay.
I was going to ask her. Okay.
I can pitch you for.
Okay. Is there any truth to the claims now? You know, there's an article out there that there's a loss of individualism, and is there any truth to the claims that too much time together can have negative consequences because people lose their individualism in a relationship?
There's a saying that absence makes the heart grow fonder, or absence makes the heart forget. So it depends where you want to belong. Secondly is, I think if people are mature and they have open dialogue and conversation, they will not lose individualistic qualities. In fact, they will start to have tangency in some good areas that they have not discovered before. And that's the time they see that we have more commonalities than differences. People before were always fighting because of maybe stress. People have more choices to do other things. Now there's less and less choices, except you have only a few friends, a few relatives that are matching your ideas. So sometimes if you are mature with the relationship, you can go deeper by having a common grounds to grow. You will agree that you will have more maturity in dealing with finances, relationship, families, and you become a positive codependent on the positive aspect you want to do together.
Okay. So Master, are you saying that are you saying that there is a loss of individualism in a relationship? The two become one.
I don't think that is exact because it depends. If you have 100%, how much tangency do you connect? See, it's not 100% that the 0 to 100, you have to be always together. Individualism is lost when you have very severe codependency. When you express all the problems together, it's a negative aspect to me, because when you become codependent, you lose individualism in making choices to help each other. You suffer together more often than enjoy together. So individualism can be lost only when you don't have that intelligent apprehension of what your strength, your weakness, and your goals together. And I think codependency will bring more suffering than the shared vision, as I'm saying earlier.
Okay. Sige. Master, we will get back to you again. At this point, we'd like to call in naman our couples so we can find out more insights, from what's going on in the relationship. Just an update on our FB poll. We asked the question: romantic relationships have deteriorated during quarantine, and 46% say yes, and 54% say no. So it's almost an even split right there. People are very undecided. So why don't we bring in now our couples, Janina and Seb, and Bea and Mark. Okay. So, hello guys.
Hi.
I'll start off with the couple that lives together and works together. So you guys work together at home, and you also eat, sleep, and hang out together. How do you separate your work environment, your professional environment, from your personal environment? Is there a strategy or a technique that you can share with people?
Do you want to go for it? Oh,
because you guys have the same. You work in the same company, also, right? So it's not like you have two different businesses. Yes.
I think where we are lucky is that we live in a space that is big enough for both of us to have our own space also.
So that's important.
Yeah.
Space, so enough space.
Janina has an office, I have my office. So even though we work together on some projects, it's not necessarily all the projects. So she handles her part, I handle my part, and some of them are linked, some are not. So
So it doesn't mean that we work together means that like we work on everything together. I still have my own thing, he still has his own thing, and he has his own office, I have my own office, and that's like our alone time somehow. When
it helps balance, because it's true that for people like Stefan, the way you presented it is like, okay, we live together and we work together, so we must be on the back of each other all the time.
Yeah.
In practice, it's not exactly the case.
Okay.
So that's why we're lucky enough for that.
My question though is, do you guys have any conflict sometimes at work? Because especially you're in the creative industry, right? Do you guys have conflicts at work?
Yeah,
like you disagree on things.
I mean, work and life, it's like, yeah, we
I think arguments and fights are inevitable when working with your partner, but
correct. But how do you create that separation after you work? You don't carry that feeling that you harbor during work to your personal life right after.
That's exactly the challenge of. That's why some people are saying I will never work with my partner.
And it's hard to with your partner.
Because it can be hard, and you do bring, even though you're saying we put like a barrier between work and personal life, it's not really possible. So you do bring that back home. So that's when communication is like super important, and say, hey, okay, something happened here, we need to iron things out, otherwise the problem might become bigger. It's not just a professional problem, it's going to become a personal problem. So you need to be mature enough to discuss about it after. Yeah,
true.
Definitely.
And I think Seb and I are like a perfect match because we both like our own space. At the same time, we find the balance in hanging out with each other, non-work related.
Okay, so walang clingy.
We're not clingy.
Okay, that's good. Okay, I'm gonna shift my questions now to our LDR couple, very good friends, Mark and Bea. I know your story, and I'm really, really impressed at how you guys have maintained and kept the fire burning despite the distance and despite everything else. Of course, Bea, you are, you're going through a lot in your life right now, and Mark is there to support you. But it's so hard to support each other when you're like miles away. The distance is so far. So how do you guys do it? You want to start, Bea?
Yeah, well, because the situation for me is I have a health problem, so obviously, it's a priority.
Yeah.
But it became like a tag team, and for a certain time, like the first year that I went through dialysis and knowing my kidney failure, I kind of held into Mark, and Mark has been such a great support for me. He was just very caring and sweet and patient. Like actually, he was really, really patient, which is I think what we really need in a relationship, especially if it's long distance. Like you need a lot of patience because the time zone, like Mark, the Philippines and Canada is 12-hour difference. So when you're awake, I'm asleep. When you're asleep, I'm awake. So we really have to really find a way to reconnect. I mean, to connect with each other without, without causing any problems when it comes to communication. So Mark and I have a very open communications, which is really good because that's what you really need. And because we are very open, we have a lot of trust. So
That's
he
good.
goes out, I go out. So, we're good.
So trust is super important for LDR talaga. And
Yes.
The few moments I've seen you guys together naman, super sweet din kayo. So actually, I know what Mark is saying kanina na when you see each other, it's worth so much more because you haven't seen each other. So Mark, how do you do it? Kasi for me, I need my partner to be beside me all the time. So ikaw?
I think me and Bea, we're I wouldn't say we're clingy. I think maybe Bea is a clingy one between us.
Wow, nice.
Just kidding. No, I mean we
I am clingy.
well, basically we started our relationship in a long distance relationship. I was working in Singapore the first month we got together, so I was out for 2 months. So basically, we started our relationship with a long distance relationship. So like what I was telling everybody, how do I do it with this long distance relationship? I just gave my trust. That's it. So my personality is not the type that goes clubbing. So Stephen, if you see me going out, it's just once in a while. I don't really go out.
I never see you go out. I never see you go out.
With me always. Have to force him.
Yeah.
To force him.
I would love to go out, but yeah, even with those things, I know she's a beauty queen. People want to meet her. Guys might come up to her. I mean, I know she can handle herself. She's a pretty tough girl. So
okay.
Yeah.
So what's your advice to couples that are doing LDR? Like, how can they establish trust at the onset? Like, run us through some of the things that you guys did.
I think when you think of the word trust, it's something you just give. You can't expect to learn. This is my point of view. There's no way to learn it properly. You just have to give it and see what happens. That's where you build the trust.
Yeah.
That's my point of view of it. So there.
Okay. What if like there are times that you you have misunderstandings? Of course, long distance, right? You still have your misunderstandings. How do you solve it if you can't like physically, walk up to the person and the other person is not answering FaceTime? I'm sure it can get frustrating. How do you solve those things?
It happened to Mark and I a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have these disagreements where, for example, it's nighttime in the Philippines and it's daytime in her time. We get into an argument and then suddenly we put down the phone. The next day we're good. It's just
like really for me, we've been together for 7 years. We know each other and what's good for our relationship. Especially for me, because it is part of my symptoms to be high blood. I distant myself. Like I try to calm myself down, give it like another 12 hours, and then I'm okay. And I really appreciate time.
Okay, so your patience really has to be extra heightened
when
we're
super.
LDR. Yeah. Okay. Janina and Seb, do you think that the being constantly together at home 24/7 has made things monotonous? Like, how do you make things? How do you create excitement? Considering that you're with each other 24/7.
Well, it's true that it comes with its challenges, especially our lifestyle pre-pandemic involved a lot of travel. So this is out of the window now.
But I can handle it more than you. Like we miss traveling so much. So being stuck at home for 5 months can get really like, how do you say that?
We need to find ways to like
entertain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's the right word.
And it's good we have a lot of pets here at home. Like for the first couple of months in quarantine, we had 6 kittens, so we were entertained.
Yeah, there was life. But if this is not happening, you need to find things to, especially. I mean, it's also easier, I think, when you're in a relationship for like 6 months, 1 year, or something like that. And we've been together for more than 4 years now. So of course there is this monotonous things that is happening, and it's even more so that we are stuck now. So it does have its challenges. I don't know if I have the answer to that. I mean, a proper solution. But yeah, we try to do things like even ordering food, different type of food, trying something new. Like, and when the GCQ was on, we could at least sometimes go to the restaurant, but now it's okay, it's gone again. But yeah, trying to find activities.
Okay. Well, there's a question here from one of the viewers, Monique Ramos, and her question is, what is your advice for people who are falling out of love? Lalo na, whether LDR or together at home, but they're falling out of love. What's your advice? Mag-break na ba sila or ayusin nila? And ayusin nila, paano? Let's start with, ano naman, Bea. Bea, sige. Bea
Oh my
muna.
God. For
Beauty queen
me,
question.
like really give it a chance first before you let it go. You know,
Mhm.
for me, give it a chance first, and then if it's not really gonna work out, then you gotta let it go. And you know, because you need to find yourself first before you fall in love with someone. I really believe that you have to invest inside. You know, make yourself complete before you fully commit to someone, because then you know you're in such a good state that you know your heart's going to be taken care of.
Okay. Wow. Ganda nun, eh.
Beauty
Mark,
queen ba?
Janina, pang beauty queen. Janina Seb, any advice for people who are falling out of love? Has it ever happened to you guys? Has it happened to you guys also pala?
Definitely.
Never. Okay.
My advice, I think it really depends on why they're falling out of love. I mean, one part is the relationship. Another part could be also the situation they're in. Maybe they're losing money. That's why they're falling out of love. So it depends on their scenario, you know. But Bea's right. They should work it out first, see how it works during the pandemic, and then if it doesn't, they tried like once or twice, and on the third time it doesn't work. I guess they should break it off.
Okay, so you're giving them a 3-strike policy.
One lang.
One lang. Okay, Janina Seb, any advice for couples falling out of love during the pandemic? Like, you know, they realize their partner is not who they initially met. Any advice for these people falling out of love during pandemic?
Well, it's very complicated to answer this one because situation can vary so much. I would like to actually rebound on what Bea was saying. It's so true that you need to love yourself first before being able to love somebody else. Because if you think that the love of somebody else will fill you in and you will feel good because of
that's not a good start.
It's it's going to be a disaster 6 months, 1 year, 24 months later or something like that. Love yourself first, be happy being alone, and then that's when a relationship can actually work, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, that's good advice. I read somewhere that you need to be happy and you need to bring that happiness into the relationship. Don't expect the relationship to make you happy. Do you guys agree?
Yes.
Your people's happiness for your happiness.
Correct. Okay, that's good. Okay, do we have Doc Rica back on the show? I want to ask her some questions as well. Can we bring back Doc Rica? Oh, we don't yet. Okay. Sige. So, for both couples, some people say that the quarantine sort of erased the notion of waiting for the right moment to do certain things. Do you agree? Meaning, okay, the right moment is, in a traditional relationship before the pandemic, there was a right moment to live in, to move in. There was a right moment to propose, and now all of this is gone because everybody's forced to either to stay together or stay apart from each other. So, do you guys agree that they've lost the privilege of the right moment? Wala na daw right moment. So ikaw, no, Bea. Okay, no. Okay. Sige.
You know, yes.
Sige, explain. Bea, explain. Bakit no?
Oh, me? No, because like for me, with my relationship with Mark and with the other people, even my friends, I have become more patient because of the pandemic. I've realized that, it takes time. Everything takes time, and you cannot force things, especially with what happened to me. Like, it really taught me to just be patient, relax, chill, and you know what? But be open. Like, I'm very open with my friends now. I'm very open with Mark. Whatever I feel, whatever is in my head, and I'm very vocal about it. So I think that's what works when it comes to things like, because I'm just very open, but I don't expect Mark to decide right away.
Okay, so no pressure because of the pandemic for you guys.
Yes.
Janina and Seb, has the pandemics, sped up anything in your relationship? I mean, I know you guys are already living in prior to the pandemic, but did any other things change? Now, okay, now, we're gonna have babies now, or I know some couples that are actually having babies as we speak, like calling their
Making
kids
babies.
Cory,
Making
Corona, or
or making corona babies.
Covidencia. Yeah, they're making COVID babies. So has any life moments sped up because of the pandemic for you guys? And do you guys believe in this?
Not really, Seb.
Not really. I kind of disagree actually with the quote or the article that was saying that
Now is the right time.
Yeah. I don't think so, actually. I think it might be a time. Okay, let's say someone wants to have baby or someone wants to get married, and like they think that the pandemic is not really the right time, and your article is saying the opposite. I actually believe that maybe it's the time to reflect on something else. Maybe it's an opportunity to try something else.
Like for yourself, learn new things.
Learn new things. Maybe your work is actually slow. Like, I mean, we are in the film industry, so of course there is less shoot happening right at the moment. So we have more time to do other things. So do you see it as a threat, and you're like, okay, I don't have as much work as I used to have before, and you feel down? Or do you see that as an opportunity and say, okay, I have other things that I can do now. I can focus on myself. I can, like other maybe problems or things that you wanted to do later on. And you're like, okay, maybe now is the right time because I have the time to do it,
But like marriage, babies, I think that's something you have to really think through with your partner and not just like, tara na kasi, parang end of the world na, ganon.
Yeah. So don't get pressured by the pandemic, guys. That's the advice of Janina.
Yeah.
Okay,
but
it's
different also, Stephen, because Mark and I have been together since we were like 23. So people ask us, like talagang brutally asking us, like, when are you gonna get married? My mom is asking me to have children. I'm like, what am I gonna do? Send Mark here.
Yeah. Hindi na nga kayo, well, hindi na nga kayo na pressure before, mape-pressure pa kayo ngayon, parang ganun, right? But then I think Janina mentioned something really funny but actually real. Na people nowadays are thinking, oh my God, it's the end of the world. Maybe I should marry my boyfriend or my girlfriend or have kids before all this happens. Or
being spontaneous is nice then, but think about it first.
Think about it. Okay, we have a video question actually from a married couple, CJ and Trixie De Chavez. So let's play that question and let's see what you guys think about it.
Hi, my name is Chris De Chavez.
And I'm Ida Katrina De Chavez, and we've been married for 3 years now.
Right, but I met Ida about 11 years ago, and basically we've been together since then. So we've been in a relationship together for 11 years, but we've been married for 3 years now. So here's the question.
Our question is, what would you consider a healthy amount of interaction between partners during quarantine, and how do other couples avoid pitfalls like codependency?
Okay, so what is a healthy amount of interaction? Let's bring back Master Delpe as well, so that he can also give his expert insights as a mentor and as a advisor. So, what is a healthy amount of interaction between partners during quarantine, and how can you avoid being codependent on each other? Because I know that can happen, especially financially, diba? Sige, you want to start this off, Master, or with the couple? Yeah, Master, sige, go ahead.
Okay. If you are as young as Stephen Co, you can have sex every day. But if you are 80-year-old, that's different. So depends on your age. Same with children. If you're 40, you better get children more than anything else.
So the healthy amount of interaction is dependent on age.
And your sexual appetite.
And your sexual appetite. I know that you advocate for healthy sex life. Okay, sayang si Doc Rica talaga expert dyan. But anyway, go ahead, Master.
To elaborate a little bit, there are 8 types of lovers, and there are many ways of using them. You cannot comment on the same expectation of Mother Teresa married with Donald Trump, or Madonna married with George Bush, or Tom Cruise married with Mother Teresa. See, when you start to match the chemistry of people, you're starting to have different expectations. So you quarrel not because you don't love each other, because you don't have the same expectations and likes and dislikes. So when I mentor people, I have to evaluate what kind of lover are you, and what is misaligned, what is connected, tangented, or what is codependent, and what is really independent. So there's such as independent, codependent, and interdependent. So if you analyze your tangency or non-tangency, you will see that in 5 years of life, your career is different, your family life is different, your health life is different, your spiritual life, and then your social life. Some people are tangented with the same friends, but not in the same career path. So you cannot really be together in everything, because you have to satisfy 5 years of life. And most people say, Janina and Sebastian, they might be interdependent in terms of their life because they are not working in the whole thing. They have maybe different spiritual practices, different social connections. So when you look at different things, you do not really get bored when you look at the whole chart, because there are 5 areas you to satisfy. You satisfy yourself as family, but you need to outsource some stimulation in your career path that is not the same as your partner. So managing expectations amongst the 8 types of lovers is so important to profile, because if you can manage expectations, you can manage the relationship. And through communication, authenticity between you two, your goodness and goodwill has to be the primary substance to be in right human relation. And of course, sincere communication, and of course, patience, as most of you are saying. So these are all good ingredients. The chemistry is very important. It doesn't mean the looks sometimes. It doesn't mean the financial status. It doesn't mean the age. It's how your chemistry would look like and how you feel to each other really dominate everything from there on. Because you can connect sexually, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, or financially. Or love by need versus love by emotions. There are many things that we need to take care.
Doc Rica, welcome back. Doc Rica, can you hear us?
Hi. Yes, I can
Okay,
hear
Doc
you
Rica, we
clearly.
want to
I hope
ask
you can hear
you.
me.
Yeah, we can hear you now. Doc Rica, we want to ask you, how do couples avoid
Oh, no.
pitfalls like codependency? How do they avoid being codependent on each other? Like, what's your advice when you get clients that ask you this?
Okay, I was listening to Master Dopa a while ago, and I would agree with everything that he said, that there are different aspects of a person's lives that you just need to find your own space in it. And there's this thing that we call living separately but together. And I agree with what Janina said a while ago, and Sebastian. They said that they've been living together for so long and they're sharing a space. However, even if they work with each other, they still have that physical space that they have for their own, like and in that space there they can be themselves without the other, even though they are living together. So I mean, that's a very literal take on it, but as Master Delpe said, there are different aspects where you can apply that principle, where you live together but you have separate lives. You know that you have separate lives, and in those lives, when you put it, you're together, so you're still in it as a
Yeah.
couple, even though you guys know that you are separate individuals.
Yeah, a lot of it is really mental though, because even if you are saying that you are separate, when you are literally together in a small living space, diba? It's so hard to really treat each other as separate beings. The very important question I've been meaning to ask you, Doc, is how important is sex during the pandemic in keeping relationships solid? Yeah, and that's your expertise. Guys, feel
Oh
free to
my
ask our
gosh.
experts. So Janina, Seb, Bea, and Mark, please ask Master or Doc Rica if you have any questions also. But Doc Rica, please go ahead.
How important is sex? It depends on the relationship or the kind of the relationship that you have. Is sex is very important in your relationship, then you'd have to engage in it regularly. There are couples though that during the lockdown their libido started going down because they had to be in survival mode, diba? You have to you're anxious because this is happening. You might lose your job. There's no money. I don't know. There's a lot of uncertainty going on. So during that time, it's just understandable that their sex drives went down. However, now that we are a bit normalizing with what's going on, I believe that there are a lot of couples who have sex as part of their repertoire in their relationships. Parang they get their sex drives back, and because of that, they're just going at it like how they used to go at it when they were still like starting dating. But on the other side, there are couples naman who have, because they don't have that kind of foundation, so they weren't able to rekindle that lust or that passion in them, and now they're just stuck in this whole survival phase. Okay, let me just look at family, or look at how we are, or like my job, my money, but not really about the sexual intimacy.
Okay. So we've established that sex is important in the relationship even during the pandemic, except the sex drive might have, been affected, or might have been lessened. But for our couples here, how important is intimacy for you guys? Without getting into too much detail, but like how important is intimacy for you guys? I mean, paano yung mga LDR? I can't even imagine how
Mark
that's
answered that.
Sige, let's
Mark
start with
answered
Mark.
it.
Mark, start this round, Mark.
Well, I think we have no choice, right? I mean, no matter how much I do it, we have no choice. But it doesn't mean it's going to destroy our relationship. I think our relationship is based on finding the person that you're supposed to be with.
Yeah.
So for Bea and I, we think alike already. I mean, we do our own thing. She's more of the person that takes care of our personal side. I'm on the working side. So we do our own thing, but we think alike. So when we always laugh about the same things. We always, without even thinking about it subconsciously, we wear the exact same thing when we go.
Okay.
So we're already entwined. We're connected already.
So parang mental intimacy can make up for physical intimacy, basically.
Yeah, but
Okay.
don't get me wrong. I mean, I crave for it. I ask for it. But then again, we know, like, Mark and I have been together for so long, and we practice celibacy because we found, our faith. But at the same time, I still have some hormones.
Okay, yeah.
And and I think it works now because of my kidney problems, my hormones are down, so I am not like asking for it, basically.
Okay. All right, good. Seb and Janina, how important is intimacy in relationship?
Well, if intimacy, you're talking about sex, I guess the right amount really is different from one couple to the other one. But I do believe that it's part of the connection that you need to have. Maybe a lot of it, or maybe a little bit, depending on what you consider is the right amount. But I think it needs to be there. It's part of this connection. You have this connection that is just like, okay, we think alike and we are towards the same goal. We are going towards the same goal. But then there is also the physical. We are physical people. So I think, it's important. But I'd like to go back to the question that the lovely couple asked earlier.
Yeah, go ahead.
What was the right amount? I think they said, what was the right amount of
codependency
and doing things together when they live together. It's funny because this is a question we actually asked ourselves already. We're like, do we do enough things together? Do we do too many things together? And I think again, there is no yes or no answer to that, black or white or anything like that. But what feels right? Are you still in love? Do you still feel in love? Do you still feel that the other person is taking care of you or care about you? So to reply to this couple, I would say that discuss between you and don't be afraid. I mean, you said that they lose individualism sometimes because of this pandemic and being stuck together. But if it's the case, then talk even more and just don't say what you think the other one wants to hear. Just say it. Okay, I think it's not enough for me. The other one might say, oh, I thought it was enough because that was enough for me. So then you see where the discrepancy is, and you're like, okay, so now how do we fix that?
Like, talk about it.
Yeah, I think that's the common. No, that's the most important thing that I'm taking out of what's being discussed here is really communication, because a lot of things that cause the breakdown of a relationship is really people just refusing to talk to each other, and even if you talk to
Yeah.
each other, you're actually not listening, and I think that's where things go sour. Um, Master Delpe and Doc Rica, we have a question here, actually, a video question from a relationship expert, Maribel Junicio. She's also a very prominent person in this field. We'll play that video question right now.
Hi, I'm Maribel Junicio. I have a question. As people dedicated to helping other people with their relationships, how would you guide couples who are in LDR or maybe who are together at home because of this pandemic to have a happier relationship? And how do you adapt your practice if you cannot be physically present with these people you are counseling? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like, Doc Rica, Master, how difficult is it to counsel couples right now, especially if you are just using Zoom or like video conferencing? Rica, Doc Rica.
For me, it was very difficult at first, because there are nonverbal cues that I would miss, as opposed to when they're like right in front of me, and but eventually, after a couple of weeks, I was able to get used to that whole Zoom thing, and through that, I was also able to make them more physically closer. Like when I talk to them, there are couples who like at first decided to go to Zoom with different windows or like from different gadgets, but eventually they would choose to go like from one laptop. So I guess this process is um difficult and challenging both for the therapist and the clients, but it it works out in the end as long as you trust each other that you are guiding each other in the process of therapy.
Mhm. Okay, thank you, Doc. Master, you want to add anything to that or same
Yeah,
answer?
thank you. I've
Yeah.
been doing this for 16 years, and I certify specialists to deal with mentoring and coaching and healing at a distance. I call it telehealing. So since we've been doing this in my institute in the US for 16 years already, we have gotten used to it. So that's one. Second, we're just people who can scan the chakras. So when I look at the patient, I can x-ray the person's aura and chakras. I can measure their psychological, mental, physical, financial, and spiritual conditions by not even talking to the person. So that's my training. I have books written. I have 12 books, and many of my books were focused on this. So since we can x-ray people's energy and auras and chakras or energy centers, sometimes we don't need to talk too much. But since we are also mentoring, we need to talk and also to listen to what they're saying and listen to what they're not saying, because not all people will trust that they will tell you all their problems. So we have to train ourselves to listen not only to what people are complaining about, but what they are not saying that are really the triggers of the problem. So when I look at somebody, I can scan the aura, I can use my third eye to look at your energy, and from there we can detect the problem. So it's not a big deal for me because this is my cup of tea every day. I do service many people around the world, and that is usually the best things. In COVID time, there's no need to be in person. And secondly is when you talk like this, it's easier for people to open up than in person. In person, sometimes they have awkwardness if they're have heavy weight and they have excess weight. They feel awkward talking to you because they're more conscious about their physical body rather than talking. So in terms of online, sometimes they don't like to show their face. Like when I heal people with HIV and AIDS, they don't want to show themselves. So I can do more transparent talking, authentic clarification of things. And sometimes they only use the voice before they trust you. They first have to see if you really make sense and if you can really detect the problem. So this is a great time for people who can learn to do online, to learn how to detect and scan the energies of people. not only to rely on what they're saying, because most people do not say everything that they have a problem with. Most of
Okay.
them hide many things.
All right. So, kasi Master Delpes modality is really about healing. That's how he counsels couples. So, I can understand what you're saying. It's actually good right now because they don't have any defense mechanisms when they're using their web cameras. Okay, we have a question here from our comment section. This one goes out to Seb and Janina from Vitaya Vita. Do you think that happy bloom? Kilala niya yata to eh. I think. Do you think to be happy and blooming like you guys, you need to go on long trips and adventures with your best friends?
I believe I know where this question is coming from.
Baka, it actually sounds like more like an invitation rather than a
invitation. It is part of the life balance, right? The global life balance.
Yeah,
traveling with your friends.
Separate trips together without him or me without him. So
separate, not together. Yeah. I mean, we do travel a lot together, but we also, Janina goes on her trip, I go on my trip with my friend, she goes with her friend. So again, it's part of the balance
and trust.
And trust.
Okay. Doc Rica, I'm gonna ask you this question from Ayla Abellanosa. On the conversation of sex, what's your advice for couples who live apart?
Make use of technology, right? Seven. There. You gotta make use of technology.
Okay.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. Make use of technology. You can always, always flirt with each other through different messages or through different photos, different videos. And this is also the perfect time for you guys to explore yourselves more. And when I say explore yourselves more, it's more of finding out and discovering your body by yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. For me,
like
nag-resonate sa akin yung use of technology. So I'm imagining. Okay, well, go ahead.
Something.
I
think I agree with that, Rika, but there's a subject on Tantra or sexology that we teach in my book that you can do a distant sex and circulate the energy, and you can have a total body orgasm, if you might call it that way, pleasure.
Love it.
By using the energy, you can envelop yourself with a lot of heightened ecstasy energy, which you can take from the soul, from the mind. So this is real because in the future, you can have excessive ecstasy without physical contact. And I teach a lot of people who are like celibates who don't have the vow of marriage yet, who did have a vow of celibacy. And these are monks, yogis, gurus. I've taught a lot of people who are in Christians. And so this is a new discovery that I have been teaching a lot in couples who are still waiting from engagement to marriage. And I think Rika has a point that you can be very explorative, but make sure that Facebook and TikTok will not take your pictures. So
I don't think TikTok is the right technology for this, Master. But I get your point, Master. I think with the advent of tantric sex, it's all about really the mind and the spirit. I mean, intimacy is not just the physical part. We'd like to close.
Oh
yeah. Okay,
I love
Master.
My book.
Master, make sure to send all our guests a book.
Okay, I think if you are really interested, I can give you an ebook copy, all of you.
Okay.
Yay! I need it.
Thanks,
Master, para kayong si Oprah.
You have to be an open-minded because once you experience this, you will forget to go to work.
Master, para kayong si Oprah. All right, everybody gets a book in this show. Okay, so just to close off the first FB poll. Thanks, Master. Just to close off the first poll that we did, romantic relationships deteriorated during quarantine. 40% say yes, and 60% now say no. So actually, more couples are staying together, I guess, or are having a better time during the quarantine. So then, good results, I think. We are going to start now the second poll, and the second poll is: which type of relationship is harder to maintain, live-in or LDR? So we'd like to invite all our audience to please key in their answers so we can, get the what's this, the majority vote for this question. I just lost that question right there. Okay. We'd like to thank our sponsors, DKT and Trust, and of course, the World Institute for Incurable Diseases. And at this point, we will answer a few more questions from the audience, and then we're going to wrap it up. Any more questions from the audience? Let me check. Okay. How do you know if you should keep fighting for a relationship, and when should you let it go? Who wants to answer that?
Ooh.
Doc Rica, you want to answer that? Mark, go Mark.
Yeah, if it's just you're fighting over the exact same thing over and over again, it's a vicious cycle. You should just stop after 3 or 5 times. Just give up. It's just over and over again. Nobody's learning. So, right? I guess that's my point of view.
Good point. Doc Rica?
Yeah.
If it's just you who's fighting and your partner is not fighting with you, then you have to let go.
Mm-hmm. Should couples actually be fighting for the relationship? Parang,
no, I mean like yeah. That
diba?
I get
it should just flow, right? It should just flow. It should just feel.
I mean, if it's just you who's trying to work on the relationship, maybe that's the more appropriate
the right
term. Yes, if it's just you who's willing to work on the relationship and willing to make it better, but your partner isn't, then maybe there's something there that's going amiss, and it would be very difficult for you to be the one to just change while your partner is not doing anything.
Okay. There's a wild card question here from Kat Tapang. How can non-monogamous couples keep their relationship healthy despite the lockdown? Ooh, the irony. How can non-monogamous couples keep their relationship healthy despite the lockdown? Doc Rica.
When you say non-monogamous, that's an open relationship.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Keep the relationship healthy despite the lockdown. I really do not understand where the question is coming from, because maybe there's what I'm hearing is that there is a lack of connection between the main couple, between the main relationship.
Actually, I think there's a phenomenon.
That's what I'm
right?
hearing. Maybe.
I think there's a phenomenon, actually, Doc Rica, that now during the pandemic, non-monogamous couples are becoming monogamous because they don't want to risk getting infected.
Exactly.
Diba? Parang meron yatang ganong trend eh.
So maybe that's where I'm coming from. Maybe Master has something to say, because I really don't understand the question.
Yeah, I think the question is a little bit difficult to interpret. So it depends on where they come from. If they're talking about is polygamy a rising issue because people are pent up, say people with LDR and they kind of express themselves for a long time, there's a cut-off point, a critical point where you have a threshold of patience or not. So some people are younger. I think they are more subjected to temptations, especially very sexual people. I told you there are 8 types. The Bill Clinton type, the Tiger Woods type, they cannot stand a pandemic quarantine. But people are Mother Teresa, the Dalai Lama type, they can be celibate for 10 years and it's fine. So it depends who your partner is. That's why you need to profile your lovers. If they are the Tiger Woods or Bill Clinton, you better be putting a razor.
So compatibility talaga. Compatibility. To everybody, I guess this is my last question. You guys are familiar with the languages, 5 language of love, the Myers-Briggs. And I think this is really important. And I personally advocate this for couples, that you need to understand your language of love, because your partner may not want to be loved the way you want to be loved. Do you guys believe in this? Are you guys familiar with the 5 languages of love? Or
it's the same as the 8 types of lovers, Stephen.
Yeah.
And you need to manage the expectations, either sexual, financial, spiritual, health, or anything. Some people might find it very codependent for 5 hours a day. The Mother Teresa would have 12 hours and they would say they still lack that love because that's their connection. Einstein would be satisfied in 1 hour of interaction as long as it's intellectually qualitative. Or the Duterte probably are more difficult because they would rule you under love and command you to put down your pants, So it depends on your lovers, if you're dealing with the Dalai Lama, you just pray together and eat together, and you do not get codependent because that's part of your deal.
Yeah.
So you have to really know the 8 types of lovers and how to please them and their expectations, their strength, their weaknesses, their lessons to learn, their pains and pleasures.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, guys. So at this point, after getting all the points and perspectives, we'd like now to get, your advice for everybody. For all our panelists, we'd like to find out what is your advice for people to restart their relationships, especially if their relationships are deteriorating during this pandemic. So right at this point, we are going to call up our guests one by one. And we'll start off with Sebastian and Janina. Okay, so Seb and Janina, this is your restart segment. What's your 2-minute advice for everybody out there?
For Seb and I think the most important thing for couples is to give enough space, like to be themselves without being together. How do you say, like,
it's a very special time right now, and
So-
you're glued with your partner if you live together.
yeah.
So where you need to make an effort is to give some space, because the usual space that you have when you go to work or when you have a weekend with your friends, or this one doesn't exist anymore. So you need to compensate for that. And
of course, like with couples, arguments and disagreements will always be there, but it doesn't mean that you're in an unhealthy relationship. Like, conflict is not necessarily a bad thing, and you just have to.
it's part of the communication process, and being patient, being super patient, because we need to understand that those are not normal times. So be patient, because one person to another one might handle it differently.
Okay, thank you so much, Seb and Janina. Next up, we have our LDR couple. Let's start with Mark.
Okay.
Yeah,
Do I
start
have
with Mark.
Do I have 2 minutes? How much time do I have?
2 minutes. You have as much time as you want if you have so much advice to give.
I think I'll just give advice on towards the couples that are in LDR. I think it's just keep yourself busy. The relationship will work out as long as you guys are mentally connected and your hearts connected together. But of course, you keep missing each other. The only way is you keep yourself busy, and then when you have time to talk to them, talk to them. During this pandemic, there's no other way. You have no choice. You can't travel. You can't see them. There's no choice. So you got to stay strong. Keep yourself busy. Focus on what you have to do to prepare for the whole pandemic stretch and after. So by the time you see your partner, everything's good.
Okay, thank you, Mark. And of course, our Mother Teresa type.
No, I was
Lea
just kidding.
Santiago.
Mark's answers like that because he's been so busy. Like, he had no time to like sit down at home and like rest. Because even at home, he's like working, and like everybody. I mean, he and I have a very opposite, like type of quarantine. Like me, I dedicated all my free time to healing. So I've been going to therapy. I'm trying to see, how to help me heal myself, and at the same time, I'm also trying to prepare myself for transplant. So I guess it's a different mindset. Like, we're very opposite of about each other right now. So my takeaway for today is probably be patient, have an open communication with your long distance relationship. Use this time to reconnect and use it as a kind of a restart. Restart to become a better person, a better lover, a better daughter, a better person overall to everybody around you. And I really believe that once you remember who you really are and why you love that person, you will have a completely different love for life and for your partner.
Okay, that's good, Bea. So, find this time to heal yourself, to find yourself. And then Mark is keep yourself busy. And then for Janina and Seb is really find your space. Even if you're staying in a small space, you have to find your own space. Okay, at this point, we have Master Del Pe.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank everyone for your good thoughts. I think alignment is very important. Without alignment, you can have your own space, your own time, but if there's no alignment of vision, what you want to have and achieve in this life together, or even short term, what do you want to become together? And then from there, you design what you want to do to become, to have. If you have the have, be, do strategy, which I teach a lot of CEOs and even families, you will not get lost, even despite that you grow old together, kahit maputi pa ang buhok mo or wala ka ng buhok like me. You will stick together because you have the same direction and you have a North Star. What you want to achieve together has to be match what you want to become together and what you want to do to become and to have that. And you can only do that if you have a SWOT analysis. Your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats has to be plotted together. And this is the time because you have more time to talk through online LDRs or live in. You have more time to really chart your life. And you can use my book, From Success to Fulfillment, to chart your 5 years of life. Because there's no way you cannot succeed if you harmonize your family life, your work life and career, your health life, your spiritual life, and your social life. This is where you spend the platform and play your arena, whatever your games are. So you need to match some of them. So there's a tangency, there's some commonality that makes you align together. Plus, study the 8 types of lovers and how to please them, because there's so much differences in people, but there's so much commonalities as well. So even though say Duterte is married to Madonna, there might be so much differences, but there's some commonality that you need to start together to be aligned. And so I'm offering the 8 types of lovers class on August 15 and 16. And this is where you can start if you want to study who you are not, your partner's expectation and yours, and you match them. And that alignment brings wisdom, understanding, authenticity, sincerity, and also the bottom line that you want to achieve together. And that's my proposal to everyone.
Thank you so much, Master. So we'll make sure to take note of those dates, August 15 and August 16 for the 8 types of lovers. So much wisdom from Master Delpe. And, I like the analogy about the SWOT analysis, mission, vision, because, people put in so much effort to build their businesses, their companies. Why not put in the same amount of effort to, build your relationships, right? And last but not the least, of course, we have our sex and relationship expert, Dr. Rica Cruz.
All right. Okay. So we talked about giving each partner space, and we also talked about communication. And Master Delpe talked about harmony. And I guess what I want to talk about for you guys to restart your relationships is for you to have that safe space between the two of you. And in that safe space, I guess you will be able to talk about things openly, and you'll be able to, it's okay, you'll be able to approach your differences with curiosity, as opposed to maybe what you had before when you're annoyed with your partner's quirks. Now is the time for you to look at your partner from a different perspective and approach whoever he is or whoever she is with curiosity. And in this time, I think, and in this pace, you would also be able to express more understanding and appreciation of your partner. And that's what I ask the couples that I counsel to do. Every night, I ask them to tell each other around 3 things that they like about each other, as opposed to just pointing out the negative things. And for most of them, it reignites their intimacy with one another, and that practice actually reminds them that they are in this couple together and they are on the same team. Lastly but not the least, of course, I would suggest for you guys to be kind. Always be kind when you talk to your partner, because there are people who, we take our partners for granted, that we think that they're just there however mean we are towards them, but it's really kindness that would help you get through whatever it is that life will just throw at you. So be kind to one another and remember that you're on the same team.
I like that, Doc Rica. So be kind And now during the
I was
pandemic,
just texting Mark, be kind to me.
no, now during the pandemic is really the time to explore each other. I like that what you said, Doc Rica. Yung telling each other the 3 things that you like about each other. These are
Yeah.
really, really good advice, and people might take
I
it
do
for
that
granted.
every day with Mark. It actually works. Talaga.
Diba? I mean, people take it for granted. Na parang that's so cheesy, but you know what? Once you do that, I think it will really
It
nurture
works.
your relationship. Yeah.
Yes.
So thank you so much to everybody for joining us today. I know you guys are all busy despite the pandemic, and we'd like to thank you for sharing your thoughts and being candid with us. I wish you all the best, and we hope for the strength and more babies in your relationships. More pala, babies pala.
How about you,
Thank you so
Stephen?
much. Wala ako.
Thank you.
Ako,
Thank you,
tsaka
everyone.
na.
Big babies,
All right.
Stephen.
Those who want my book, please send your email to Stephen, and I will send you the ebook.
Oh,
Thank you
yes,
so much.
please.
Thank you so much,
Mr.
Master.
Gopal.
Let's share.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, guys. So right now we're gonna pull up the results of the second poll, and the question asked was, which type of relationship is harder to maintain? 17% say living in, and 83% say LDR. So obviously it is harder, especially now during the pandemic. So some key takeaways from tonight's show, and we've learned so much from our guests once again, is that it's all about communication. It's all about being able to tell each other what really matters and exploring that person. Bea Santiago says, remember the person you are and why you love that person, and it can completely change the way you love life and your partner. Mark says, if you're in an LDR relationship, the secret is just keep yourself busy and productive. Don't forget to be extra sweet even if you are busy. Master says, study the 8 types of lovers. He mentioned, the Donald Trumps, the Mother Teresa. There's a lot of good visuals there, but actually, it's all about the archetypes, and you have to get to know the types that you are, so that you can look forward towards the same future with common shared goals. Doc Rica says, be kind and remember that you're on the same team. And then Janina and Sebastian finally say, give your partner space, especially when you're stuck together. So amazing key takeaways, guys. And we'd like to thank everybody again for joining us in our season premiere. We have the whole new season worth of live learning ready to share with you. And we'd like to encourage everybody to come and join our community via the official Restart Facebook groups, which feature all 3 of our tracks: business, wellness, and creatives. Groups offer exclusive content such as Ask Me Anything with our panelists, community webinars, and workshops. We'd also like to plug our future relationship episodes here on Restart Wellness. One coming up is about sex. Another one is about forgiveness and apologizing. And of course, another one on parenting. For next week, we are doing Restart Business, and we are going to feature the real state of real estate. So please watch out for that. And, relationships are hard. And with the pressure of being put out by the pandemic, staying with someone and maintaining that relationship just got a whole lot harder. No matter what happens, though, always remember that relationships are a two-way street. It requires both people to be engaged and, both people to put in the work. So don't stretch yourself too thin if it hurts you. Like what you said earlier, the right moment to do something about your relationship is right now. And as I always say, it's not game over. It's just time to restart.
Bilang mga babae, lagi tayong may choice.
Ang pagpili na maging mas responsable.
Mas marunong.
At mas maasahan.
Sa ato ng kakayahon ang pagpilis ng sakto.
At palaganapin ito sa ating kapwa babae.
Huwag natin sayangin ang biyayang ito.
Sama-sama naton ipahiling ini sa gabos.
Ang kabutihan na kaya nating idulot.
Pagdating sa reproductive health, be proud to say,
I do it right.
I do it right.
I do it right.
We do it right with trust. Para sa proteksyong may pagmamalaki at mapagkakatiwalaan.